G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Caitlin and I'm an American living in beautiful Sydney, Australia. So today I'm in my kitchen. I'm sorry if the audio and the lighting isn't that great. This is a room I don't normally film in for those exact same reasons. And today I'm trying something a little bit different. I don't know if you guys saw my recent video where I taste tested a bunch of classic Aussie beers, but I decided to make a damper with beer. So classic Aussie damper is a bread that people make all the time, especially when you're out camping. Obviously, we're not camping, so we're making it in the kitchen today. But I've got all the ingredients that I need to make an herb, cheese, and beer damper, which sounds really, really good. It's kind of based off a recipe that I found online with a few little tweaks thrown in. So let's see how this baking experiment goes. Grab a Bicky, grab a cuppa, and let's get right into this video. So this is about as lazy as bread can get, and I feel like this is like the most quintessential Aussie bread that you can make. It's so easy to do, it's relaxed, you're throwing beer in there, it's not very strict when it comes to measurements. So you basically chuck everything into a bowl, mix it together, mold it up, and then put it in the oven, or if you're baking it in a campfire, put it near the campfire. Like, I mean, this is incredibly, incredibly easy. So here I've got 3 cups of flour, and the recipe said to sift it, but the reality is if you're making this in a campfire, who's gonna bring something to sift flour with and all that stuff? We're being lazy here. We're making this easy and we're gonna see how it goes. So here I've got a little mix of things. I've got about a tablespoon of parsley. This is dried parsley. The recipe that I used called for fresh parsley, but then when I went outside to get it, there were like these 2 huge mozzies bugging around, and mozzies love me and I didn't want to have to get bitten in order to make this video. So we're using dried parsley because I have a fear of bugs. So we have that, we have 3 teaspoons of baking soda, we have a teaspoon of white sugar. The recipe called for a tablespoon of caster sugar, which seems a little bit excessive, and I don't have caster sugar, so we're using regular white table sugar, and also a teaspoon of salt. Next up, I have tasty cheese, and this is about 1/3 to half a cup. I didn't actually measure it out. I kind of eyeballed it. The recipe called for 1/3 of a cup, but again, we're trying to be easy and a little bit lazy with this and see how it goes. And then last but not least, we have a can of beer. I don't know why it said a can, because it said 375 mils, and all the bottles that I had were 375 mils, so I guess it means a bottle of beer. So we are going to make a little well in the middle just so it doesn't totally foam up on us and spill over the bowl. But look at that. Once the bubbles die down just a little bit, we give it a mix. So it does get a little bit tough, a little bit sticky, which is pretty much what you're looking for from what I can tell, because we want to be able to mold this into a loaf shape. Now we're actually going to shape it, so I've just got some plain flour here that we are going to put down so that way we can actually mold this properly. Also, if you know that the dough is going to be sticky, one thing that always helps is making sure that you flour your hands ahead of time, and then all the excess, just put it on the work surface. There we go. I want to lightly knead this, and this is a very, very wet dough. I have a feeling we're definitely going to need more flour in order to actually knead this up properly. Not too much more, but we do want to knead this a little bit. It didn't say how much to knead it for, just to lightly knead it, so my gosh, my hands are already an absolute mess. So one tip they didn't give you, but I'm going to do, is dump some flour into one of the bowls that I just used. So I'm not using like dirty, sticky hands and sticking them into a container of flour. Get some flour down on the surface, keep kneading, a bit on the dough. Now it doesn't say to roll it out or anything like that, just to gently knead it. So we don't want to do too much, we don't want to work this too much. And I think that is going to work. So then here I've got a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Now the recipe itself said to use a lightly greased baking sheet, but I don't have the world's best baking sheets and they have a tendency to stick even when I spray things. So we're just going to leave this as is and see how this goes. Now it didn't say to score the top or anything like that, and in hindsight I think I might have used a little too much flour because it looks a little bit dry on the top, but we'll see how all of this goes. I've preheated my oven to 190 degrees Celsius. I'm going to go wash my hands and then stick this in the oven. So because this is my first time making it, I'm going to test it in increments. I have this on the second to lowest shelf in my oven. because my oven's one of those top heating element ovens. If you guys have been following this channel for a while, you guys know that this oven has become my arch nemesis ever since I moved to Australia. I'm not exaggerating, you guys. I made banana bread today and the bottom is just cooked. Look at how dark and almost black the top of that is, and that was in the middle of the oven. It wasn't even on the top rack, so I'm kind of disappointed, but this seems to be an ongoing issue with this oven. Because let me tell you, the banana bread I made back in the States was to die for. This is burnt. At least on the top, it's burnt. So I'm going to put it in there for 35 minutes, and then after that I will test it every 5 minutes to see how it goes. Or if it needs a little bit more baking at the 35-minute mark, I might leave it in there for 10 minutes and then test every 5 minutes. But I'll be back once this bread is out of the oven and ready to eat. Okay, so I definitely coated the top in a little bit too much flour, but really, how good does this look? I wish you guys could smell it. You could smell the beer, you can smell the herbs in it. So I'm just going to cut this thing right in half and see how it turned out. Look at that, you can still see some of the steam coming off of it. The herbs in there, some of the cheese. You could smell the beer in it. Just cut a nice little hunk off of this. And to go with it, I made a little bit of homemade butter. Like, I mean a little bit with a tiny bit of heavy whipping cream that I had left. I think it was about 250 mils. So that's how much butter I got out of it. Really, there's nothing quite like homemade butter on hot, fresh homemade bread. It's like kind of a similar consistency, a similar texture to like regular beer bread. The beer taste isn't overwhelming, it's not too powerful. The bread itself isn't too salty. Really dense bread though, I will say that. I can see why this would be really good camping though. It's easy, it's simple, you can throw it together, and you have a nice hearty loaf of bread that'll last you probably for the next day or two. So that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. I really do appreciate the support, you guys. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.